You may have heard about CityWorks Expo. For years now, we've been bringing people together to share big ideas for better places. Expo connects innovators across the community and around the globe through an ongoing series of events, conferences, and social media. And our goal is to inspire and support people like you, the ones who have a passion for making their neighborhoods, communities, and cities better places to live, work, and play. Check us out at cityworksexpo.com to learn more. Become a part of the Expo community and share your story. You never know who you will inspire with your big ideas.
No Codes was a civic hackathon that we held in Roanoke that wrapped in August. Right? Our goals were very broad. Myself, you've heard a little bit about my interest. I want to try to uncover Roanoke's relationship with technology and try to foster the community that exists there and grow that community. So we came with this idea called No Codes, and it's an action verb, or an action word, and it's also an adjective, as in, heck yeah, those people in Roanoke know how to code things. And so this is our logo, and it's intentional. Thank you, Sam Lev, for coming up with this. Sorry. These are the guys that we want to attract to this area. And this is important because if you've ever seen the show, okay, it's great, right? But these guys make jobs that are important, and this is my role, right? If those are the guys, because I just come up with cool names and talk about yogurt, and everybody else does the real work. But those guys build the kind of jobs that we can build a future on and attract other businesses. And clustering is important for technology people because they get to know one another and they can help each other out with hard problems, which we actually ran into during this place. So, what is here? Who's here in Roanoke? We know we have some big, important businesses that exist here, and they're global and important, but what is the technology community that exists within those businesses? Do they want to help improve their local civic environment? And what is the civic IQ of these technical folks, right? Those were the questions. This is what a hackathon looks like. If you don't believe me, Google it. These things are becoming extremely popular. The goals of them are typically to make money in the next killer app. But recently, civic hackathons have come into vogue, right? This is the logo of Baltimore Civic Hackathon. Meet people, build stuff, and have fun. And they're typically based around using publicly available data to change the way people interact with their city. And so that is really cool. And we thought that what better way to uncover the technical community here was to improve our city in some small way. So we stole that meet people, build stuff, and have fun. Meet people through classes, seminars, and hanging out in a special place, the lab for 24 hours, because weird stuff happens when you do that, and it's really fun. Build things that address community-based challenges. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And learn something through classes and seminars. And so there's really three parts to No Codes. Coding challenges are the foundation that it's built on, but we also had classes for local kids, and we had seminars for nonprofits. And when this slide turns, I'll tell you about the seminars. We worked with the Council of Community Services and surveyed over 500 local nonprofits and asked them what they needed to know about. And then we got the best people in Roanoke who knew how to do websites, marketing, and social media because that's what they wanted to know about. And we gave them free seminars in the co-lab for an hour at a time. The feedback was tremendous. These people immediately applied the lessons that they learned from these professionals. The second piece of No Codes was actually teaching the next generation to understand what coding is and can do. And we partnered with a group out of Blacksburg called Coder Dojo that's trained over 100 kids to code in the last year and a half. This is 40 kids inside the co-lab without computers taking their first introduction to code class. Coder Dojo started up in Roanoke. It's now Roanoke Coder Dojo, and they're actually having classes right now. The main part about No Codes, though, was these coding challenges. Appropriately scoping them was very key because what can you really do in 24 hours? It turns out a whole lot when you focus on impact. And so what we really had was 7 very brave, community-based nonprofits and organizations that came forward with challenges that we could work on with the local coding and developing talent. And I'll tell you about a few of them. Roanoke Public Library was one of the ones. Thank you, Nathan Flincham. He's in the audience right now. You'll see him a little bit later in one of our other pictures. He's the archivist for the Virginia Room at the Roanoke Public Library, and they have this really great resource, all of these old pictures. You saw one earlier. Ian, thank you very much for telling us about the Grandin Theater. These are now publicly available to you on your smartphone wherever you are, searchable by where you are in the city based on your location from that phone, thanks to Noke Codes and the team of coders who worked on that for 24 hours. There's like 7,000 photos, and they're still working through putting all those online. Council Community Services, an umbrella organization, I mentioned them previously, umbrella organization for, I think, 500, it blows my mind every time I hear it, community-focused organizations here. They needed a job board, one specific job board that worked across all 500. We had Daryl Little and another gentleman build two different, not one, but two different job boards that they could choose from. This is now publicly available, I believe, or if it's not, it will be very soon. Roanoke Outside, Pete Eshelman, a great leader, bringing people to the Roanoke community to take advantage of all of our natural resources, said, hey man, we got a problem for you. People get lost on McAfee Knob. It costs us a lot of money to go find them. We know about these other apps in other places that allow people to interface with the trail, and essentially in ways that say, hey, dummy, turn around because you're going to not get back to your car before it's dark. Leap for Local Foods has a mobile food kitchen, or excuse me, a mobile market now where they sell local produce. The guys came in to sort of build a tracker for that thing because it's mobile. You never know where it was. They went above and beyond and built a tracker for every single food truck that rides around Roanoke, and that's going to go live within the next couple of weeks. Keep in mind, all this is in 24 hours, guys. It's really, really interesting stuff that happened. And so there are a couple more organizations, Ride Solutions, Williamson Road Area Business Association, and Healthy Roanoke Valley, that all contributed challenges that are in various states of finishing. One of the things that we learned is like 24 hours is really not enough time, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with challenges like this and the many others that we had gathered. Where are my Roanoke College people? Are they in here, right? We're going to do Healthy Roanoke Valley, right? So this is my favorite picture from the event, and this is the type of people that we were after. What you have here is a group of, this is 1 a.m., by the way. Curtis in the yellow shirt is a PHP developer. The gentleman, Daryl, in the blue shirt works for a technological company that has worldwide access. The kid leading the team was a high schooler. The lady that you saw is the head of Coder Dojo in Blacksburg, and Nathan was also in that picture from Roanoke Public Libraries as well. So you talk about a powerful collaboration between a bunch of people, that was it. This is our team, minus Brian Redden. Stand up, Brian, and wave. Thank you very much. It couldn't have happened without the sponsors on the previous slide and some really, really hard work and a ton of Red Bull and other weird energy drinks that were donated. Thank you, Eddie Communications. And we also got some really weird tablets donated too. So in Southwest Virginia, you know you've made it when you make it to a license plate, right? This is on Brandon Avenue, right near my house, and this is the license plate that I saw immediately after the event, so I knew it was a huge success. This person is a hacker that has taken the cue from Noke Codes, and now they're hacking things. No, probably an ER worker with the initials HAK. But I'm going to claim it because that's what we do, right? We show people the way, and then we claim it, right? Noke Codes. So Noke coded. We did some really, really interesting things, and you know, when you hang out with people for 24 hours, cool stuff happens, and one of the coolest was this little experiment, HTTP-RoanokeRoulette.com. You can go there right now on your phone and hit the button, and it just gives you crazy, awesome things that you can do here in Roanoke, because there's nothing to do in Roanoke, right? Right? Exactly. My man Brad learned to code that sort of stuff during the event and finished it up afterwards. That's Noke Codes.
So I have 400 seconds to do this presentation. So bear with me as I do this. Wait a minute, I'm not going to point at you yet. I'm going to have about 10 seconds to say something. There's magazines out back, and pray for me for this presentation. I've spoken at a lot of events before. This is the first time that I have 20 seconds per slide, so I have no rhythm. So we're just going to see how it works. Now I'm on point. Let's go. First, I'd like to start by telling a little bit about myself. I was born in Roanoke, Virginia in 1969. Around the same time, media in Roanoke were conducting interviews downtown about gun control while demonstrators were marching to protest the exclusion of 2 African-American women from the then-named National Business College. I was a baby then, of course, but I suspect between the goo-goos and gagas of my parents, their baby talk consisted of a good amount of subconscious community involvement chatter. Their activism certainly rubbed off on me. My mother was, at that time, the president of the NAACP in Virginia, and my father, with his bell-bottom pants, was a rather outspoken minister on civil rights and diversity issues. You think we had it tough now? What my parents were doing back in the 60s and early 70s made our lives more livable and was very different compared to Facebook petitioning today. I grew up in Roanoke, went to William Fleming High School, then on to Hampton University. Following that, I continued executive management training at the Robert C. Maynard Institute for Journalism Education, Kellogg School of Business at Northwestern University. I'm also a proud member, as you can see here, of Omega Psi Phi fraternity and a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. My career in journalism began in 1991 at the Seattle Times as one of the first 2 Times Fellows, given a crash course experience in real world of media operations. I soon discovered how she said that a lot of activity concerning communities of color never made it into the mainstream media. I launched Colors Northwest magazine in Seattle, Washington. 5 years after its launch in 2001, Colors Northwest grew to a readership of more than 62,000 readers a month. We won over 70 journalism awards and was Magazine of the Year in 2006 in the Seattle region. Great inspired stories, but we didn't shy away from controversial subject matter. But we were proud of the controversial stories we featured and impacted the communities of color, like the backlash against Muslims and Arabs in 9/11, the plight of victims of Hurricane Katrina, and the tensions between ethnic groups and many other issues. But I will believe this is vital in accomplishing a unifying and not divisive result. Always we sought to bring common humanity of people we featured in our stories. We respected the differing perspectives in making complex stories accessible to all. We showed the human faces behind the controversies and the political posturing. We showed why stories of national and international significance impact all of us in local communities. And you know what we often found? That polarizing stories often turned out not actually be polarizing, but instead opportunities for understanding and bringing folks with differences together. So jumping forward to 2015, my mother is getting on in years. She lives in Roanoke. So I decided to return home to Roanoke from Seattle. Roanoke's changed a lot since I grew up, but there is a lot more changing that is still needed. I'm not going to quote the stats, but we know national trends of Roanoke is no different. Racially divided housing locations still predominant. Poverty is still primarily impacting communities of color. Communities of color have the lowest education levels, and institutionalized racism continues. But thankfully, more is coming to light. A message of inclusion and mutual respect is needed in Roanoke. So in 2015, in July, we launched the first edition of Colors Virginia magazine. Again, we didn't shy away from the difficult issues. In the first 3 issues, we featured stories from the Confederate flag, Native Americans, and the same-sex marriage. The response has been tremendous and wholly affirming. There's nothing like this in Southwest Virginia. Print publications are tough. Advertising is what makes the wheels go round. In just 3 months, we've been joined by all the supporters and influential advertisers who quickly grasped the value and need for the regional publication targeting communities of color. Colors VA magazine is primarily a lifestyle magazine with fresh, in-depth content for and about local communities of color, including our Taste Buds column on ethnic restaurants. But there's much more to do. How to more directly address the economic disparities attached to communities of colors. We believe part of the answer lies with the employer, potential employee. Ethnic communities express difficulty in locating employers, open to and even desiring a workforce that better reflects the diversity of the region. At the same time, employers express frustration not able to find quality candidates of color. Before 2006 rolls around, we'll be launching colorsvacareers.com, an online regional-based job database for communities of color, specifically designed to bring quality professionals and managerial candidates of color together with companies who want them. Many companies want to select their top candidates from a candidate pool that actually reflects the diversity of the marketplace. We'll be enabling this to happen. The focus will be exclusively in Southwest Virginia, with Roanoke being the largest population in the region. So what does success look like for Colors Virginia Magazine and colorsvirginiacareers.com? Well, call me an idealist, but I'm aiming for Colors Virginia Magazine to bring about a region where all folks of all communities lived alongside each other with mutual respect, to bring forth love for one another as individuals of equal value and worth, celebrating our similarities, understanding our differences. I envision colorsvacareers.com bring about an employee mix that actually reflects the diversity of this region. I envision the salary levels of communities of color being equal to the salary levels of the general population. Will we succeed? Well, who knows? But mediocrity is a never-ending rising tide, and we must fight it. It is time for communities of color in Roanoke and throughout Southwest Virginia to have a voice, to be heard, to be fully embraced, honored, welcomed, and included in the larger universal voice of humanity. Thank you.